You're a precious metals enthusiast. You love your silver, you love your gold. And you know what? I know what you were thinking about when you woke up this morning. You woke up and thought, gee whiz, I wonder who the four biggest producers of silver in the world are right now. But then you thought a little deeper and you thought, I wonder what their production numbers are like, and I wonder what that might tell us. Give us a great big clue as to where the future price of silver are going. Well, guess what, guys? I knew what you were thinking, and I've got the answer for you this morning. We're going to talk about that. And the second thing you thought about, the 150-year chart in silver, we're going to talk about that. And we've got big, crazy, scary news going on. We know silver and gold are flight to safety assets. When the world erupts, people go to silver and gold. They used to go to the dollar, but that's becoming less and less frequent because a lot of people around the world just aren't trusting the dollar as much anymore. You may be feeling that same way. Thank you, Ron McAdams, bright and early on New Year's Eve. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. But what is going on in the world? We're going to talk about some big developments. Has the Fed lost the fight on inflation? We got a lot more to talk about. Let's just start talking. What do you say, basement dwellers? Happy New Year, huh? Okay, let's just go ahead and start out with the 150-year chart of silver. You know, I love to show you these charts. Guys, make sure you can see that. Look at that. That's the price of silver over the last 150 years. Now, the gentleman that published this on Twitter pointed out to the fact that chart shows that we should get the $100 silver. Who knows if it'll be this year? Who knows if it will be next year, 2024? I don't think we're going to get there this year, are we? Or 2025, but it is in the cards when you look. Now, there's something else hidden in this 150-year chart. Starts at about 1880, okay? But I want you to look at this little section over here. Here. From there, hold on. From there to there, cup and handle. I'm not going to belabor the point, guys, but that's another demonstration of this. That's a cup and handle in the silver price from 1980 through today. Again, the most powerful, the most reliable, the most followed technical chart pattern in the world. I'm not a chart guy, right? I do them on paper with markers, whatever. But we do know this. You talk to anyone who's heavy into technical analysis, that cup and handle pattern is the most. Now, I wanted to give you a wedgie update in silver as well, right? This is a chart of silver just for like the last, 6-9 months, okay? There's a wedge. The price of silver this year has just kind of stagnated between this. I mean, it's like been right around $23, $24 all year. What's happened, right? And we said that the wedge compresses, the price either goes down or up. Well, the price did shoot up. It kind of broke through the wedge. Now we've come back down and we're testing the top of that descending wedge. I think we're going to bounce back up. I'm optimistic for 2024. 2024. It's going to take me a while. I'm getting older. You experience that, basement dwellers? I know you guys are all roughly around my age, right? The older we get, time flies, doesn't it? I mean, the days fly by, the weeks. Maybe it's because we're having so much fun being here in the basement. Thank you for being here. Please don't forget to give this a thumbs up. It's free, and the button's like right down there. It helps us get the word out to more people about what is going on in the world of silver and gold. Now, I know, like we talked about earlier, we're all waking up, but I know when you woke up this morning, you were wondering who are the 4 largest silver producers in the world and what hidden gem could be in that data that tells us that we are in for much, much higher silver prices. $100 silver, like that chart showed us, the 150-year chart, maybe that could be nothing. CoinShop Chris, yesterday in our video, talked about $260 silver. But let's talk about what's going on with the biggest silver producers and what we're going to find as we go through this list. Number 4 is Glencore PLC. They experienced a huge decline in silver production with a 25% reduction in 2022. 25%. Okay, the number 4 silver producer in the world, they produced 24 million ounces of silver. Remember, guys, there's only 800 million ounces of silver that were basically mined in 2022. This company produced 24 million of them, but that was a 25% decrease in production from what they'd produced just one year earlier in 2021, which was 32 million ounces. So number 4 silver producer in the world, Glencore, production going down. That would mean less supply of silver on the market. So remember that. Number 3, Newmont Corporation, right? We all have heard of Newmont, a prominent player in the global silver sector, reported silver production in 2022 of about 30 million ounces. This represented a 5% decrease. So number 3, Newmont, 5% decrease in silver production. Number 2, I've never heard of this company, KGHM Polska. They're in Poland. I've been to Poland. When I was in college, I spent some time in Poland, wonderful country. It's currently ranked as the world's 2nd largest silver producer. In 2022, KGHM, that's a new one, that's an acronym that none of us are going to remember, okay, reported silver output of 43 million ounces, marking a 3% decrease in production. Are you seeing a trend here? I was shocked when I was reading this. Glencore down 25%, Newmont down 5%. Number 2, KGHM down 3%. And number 1, Fresnillo, which is a silver company that a lot of us haven't really heard of. I've heard of them. They're big in Mexico. They're a subsidiary of a Mexican conglomerate, Penoles de whatever, delivered a strong performance. Okay, listen to this, though. They're trying to paint a pretty picture here, but we're going to dig in and find out that it's not so pretty. In Q3 of just this quarter, last quarter, just wrapped up, the company produced 13 million ounces of silver, okay? They say, oh, that was an increase from the previous quarter, but year over year, it was a decline of 1.5% compared to the same period of 2022. So we got number 4, biggest silver producer in the world, Glencore. Number 3, biggest silver producer in the world, Newmont. Number 2, silver producer in the world, Polska, KGHM. And number 1, Fresnillo. All 4 of those companies. These are the biggest, the best, the most talented silver producers in the world. All of them have decreasing production. What does that tell us, guys, from a supply-demand perspective? Look, you can do all kinds of put lipstick on pigs, manipulate, use paper contracts, electronic silver, whatever, however, wherever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, supply and demand dynamics will rule the market. It's like trying to fight gravity or something like that. It just does not work, okay? And what we are seeing is that the 4 biggest silver producers in the world have reducing silver output. And we know that's the trend everywhere. Look, I talked to Sean Kuhn from Dolly Varden Silver. I talked to Galen McNamara from Sumer Silver. I've talked to Jorge Ganoza, the CEO of Fortuna Silver, a $1 billion company. I had a conversation with Keith Neumeyer, 5, 6, and actually Keith and I didn't talk about silver in our conversation, but anyway, I've heard him talk about, everybody's talking about, it's impossible to find silver. It's very expensive to find silver. It's very hard. The easy silver is all gone. But think about this. What does that mean for us as we're moving into this environment. Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to show you one more chart today. Hold on one second. Where is it? I had it. Oh, no. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. What? Right? That shows the number of solar panel installs. This is this year. That's last year. That's 2 years ago. Are you seeing a trend? I mean, heck, 2 years ago was like 30%, 40% of the amount of solar panel installations that we just saw this year. And this number is projected to go even higher. And on a side note, since you're all a bunch of turkeys, that's the price of silver in Turkey from 10 years, only up 1,700% or 17 times. 10 years ago, 43 Turkish lira for an ounce of silver. Today, 724. Well, when I drew that chart anyway. That's because the value of their currency went down. We're going to talk about how that could happen in the United States a little bit later in this video. But first, please, thank you. Please, thank you. Thank you, please. I'm really happy that you decided to join me today. You really are the most important part of Ron's Basement. So please, if you enjoy your time here, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's all free. Nothing is expected. And I do want to say thank you for a $20 super chat. Wow. 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 I am paying attention and I am grateful. Let me pop the chat out here. Is anybody seeing Coin Shop Chris? I'm worried about him. I hope he's okay. Jim M. Annie Oakley. I bet he's sleeping. Hold on here. Let me back up. Make sure I get this right. Yes. Ron McAdams. Thank you for the $20. $20 super chat. And that means I can buy some extra candy bars for the kids. I sure do appreciate it. Don't underestimate, guys, that's the top 4 silver producers in the world. They're all facing declining output, declining production. Look, if they could grow their production, they would. They're fighting as hard as they can, and the amount of silver they're able to get out of the ground is going down, 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 down. At the same time, the demand is going through the roof. Just you hold on. Hold on a second there, Buttercup. Because 2024, if we even see just the slightest uptick in investor demand for silver, I'm telling you, that is what put the lid on the silver price this year. When we get more, we don't even need new people. We just need some people that are already stackers, that had been stackers, just to come back to the fold. And if we get a wave of new people, it could throw the silver price easily up into that $30 range or much higher. It's going to be super interesting. We're going to talk about stagflation and what's going on with the Fed. It's crazy. I got some new analysis we're going to cover in that. But real quickly, let's go over what's going on in the world, because one thing I don't think that a lot of us realize or talk about is the importance of gold and silver as a safe haven asset. Now, you know why you stack gold and silver. You know. Eventually, all fiat currencies go to nothing. The value of the dollar in the last 50 years, 100 years, however you want to look at it, measure it against gold, measure it against purchasing power, whatever, the value of the dollar is crashing, okay? Or has crashed. How else could you explain it? That since the Fed was started, that the value of the dollar is down, 96, 98, 99%, right? Over the last 50 years, I found this. I want to give credit. This is an unbelievable statistic. And I got it right here. Don't worry. Let's all have a sip of coffee. And then I have an unbelievable statistic that will make you, the silver and gold stacker, feel warm and fuzzy on what is the last day of 2023. I do appreciate you being here. Hopefully you didn't hear me gulp. I used to get in trouble for that. All right, get yelled at by my wife, Susie, get yelled at by the viewers. We can hear you gulp. I'm trying to stop all the online gulping. This comes from Silvercrest Metals. I want to give them credit. It's in their investor presence, but this is crazy. The U.S. dollar is the world's best best performing fiat currency over the last 50 years, yet it has lost 98% of its purchasing power relative to gold. Okay? The best performing paper money. Okay? We're the best. And we've got 34 trillion in debt and we're on $1 trillion deficit. I digress. Okay. We are the best over the last 50-year performing fiat currency, the US dollar. Over that same 50-year period when we were number one, baby, America, number one, right? Woohoo. While we were the best performing paper, unicorn, fart dust, electronic, whatever you want to call it, currency during that same 50-year period, I'm going to say it one last time. The dollar lost 98% of its purchasing power against gold. And you know, silver's right there. I heard one of the other YouTubers using my example, which I'm great, you know. What's that called when somebody copies you? That's the biggest form of flattery, right? Silver is like the little brother that's dramatic, talented, however you want to say it. Silver is gonna kill it. Hey, thank you. Happy New Year, Leanne Trevino. Thank you for the super chat. Super appreciated. Man, we're having fun. Does it feel like Sunday morning to you? It doesn't feel like Sunday. This has been a weird week. I don't know what day it feels like. It feels like we're in the basement because you are a basement dweller. You're here. I know this about you because you're a gold and silver enthusiast. You may also like precious metal mining stocks. You also like a little humor. You also like to make friends. These are great people. And you know what else? I'm going to tell you something. I heard this when I was 22 years old, when I was in the corporate world, and one of those motivational speakers was talking. This is a little nugget. He said, ducks fly with ducks. Like smart people hang out with smart people. And you're amongst a group of very smart people. You're in good company. Thank you for being here. Let me move on. Oh, okay. Geopolitics. We don't talk about it enough. But like the smartest guys that are in the silver and gold sector, besides us, like guys like Michael Oliver, some of the big brains out there, they will tell you geopolitical risk is one of the major driving forces behind silver and gold going higher. Think why gold has done so well over the last year or two. Geopolitical risk, right? When countries don't trust the United States dollar anymore, they can do math, they have a calculator, right? But they trust each other less. Let's do a quick update because things are heating up again in Europe, Ukraine, war, and in Palestine. I'm going to read a couple of quick things because we had Russia. The Ukrainians blew up a Russian ship last week. Unfortunately, we don't like any of this. We're not rooting for this, for silver and gold to go up or anything like that. So the Ukrainians bombed a Russian ship. The Russians got mad and bombed Ukraine. You probably saw that, okay? And then Ukraine just recently, yesterday, attacked Russia, a Russian city again. And we're talking about, in a lot of these cases, civilians being killed. Let me just read this to you, and you tell me if it feels like the world is becoming a more peaceful, safe place. Unfortunately, I don't think it is, but you make up your own mind, and we all know that as the world that goes into more, thank you, Jim, into more chaos, the price of silver and gold will go up. But before I do that, let's ring the bell, okay? We got 138 thumbs up. I appreciate it, okay? And I'm going to give it a ring. 10 rings. I forgot to give you a bell warning. Okay, real quickly, I'll read this as fast as I can. I'll do speed reading for you. Russia's Belgorod region, which lies north of Kharkiv in Ukraine, was rocked by Ukrainian drone and missile fire, which killed at least 14 people. That stinks, with over 100 injured, according to revised updates. According to updated information, 12 adults and 2 children were killed. I don't care where in the world you're talking about, anytime, anywhere that a child is killed because of adults fighting with each other, that stinks. Okay, I'll say that one time. Another 108 people, including 15 children, were injured. Okay, the death toll was so high due to the strikes in residential area. Again, these were Ukrainian strikes in Russian territory. The region's governor said, okay, we have requested a United Nations Security Council meeting on this at 3 p.m. Today, December 30th. I don't know if they got that or not. We also demand that the Czech, so there's more countries getting involved, the Czech permanent representative be present to explain his country's supply of weapons, because apparently these were Czech weapons that the Ukrainians used to bomb Russian, sounds like, civilians. Blah, blah, blah. At the impending United Nations Security Council meeting, it's unlikely that Russia will get a sympathetic ear, considering its massive assault on Ukraine the day prior, which killed 39 Ukrainians. Again, that sucks. Excuse my language, stinks. Reported to be mostly civilians, okay? So we're in this situation. You blew up our ship. We blew up your city. The Russians went back to Ukraine. Now the Ukrainians attacked Russian civilians. Guys, the world is not becoming a more peaceful, stable environment. Again, we don't like it. We don't support it. But that's one of the reasons why we decide to own things like silver and gold. Let's just talk quickly here about the Iran, Israel, Palestine situation and our old friend Lindsey Graham. I don't know who I like better, Lindsey Graham or Joe Biden. Anyway, that's what it starts off with. Lindsey Graham urges Biden to blow Iran, quote unquote, off the map over the Red Sea attacks. Hello, Coin Shop Chris. He's here. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you to Jim. Thank you to, and I missed a super chat. I'm going to get to that. Let me just finish reading this world and the world falling apart here. The recent spate of attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea by Iran-backed Houthis has resulted in more and more congressional calls for the U.S. military to act, even after dozens of incidents which have effectively closed the vital waterway. Don't forget, we talked about this. In America, we're clueless. I'm one of those people that I don't really think about it. Like, I think Africa's a country. No, Africa's a continent with like a bunch of countries in it. I digress. Nonetheless, the Red Sea is a vital shipping corridor, right? You got the, whatever that little straits of something, I forget the name of it. It's not the Straits of Hormuz. That's in the Persian Gulf, which is further to the east. But you got the Halubaba Straits or something. And then at the northern end, you've got the Suez Canal. It's a vital, like 15% of the world's economy goes through the Red Sea, okay? Even after dozens of incidents which have effectively closed the vital waterway to regular ship transit. The U.S. Navy has not been authorized by Biden, it's Joe Biden, to hit back directly at the Houthi launch positions. Some Republicans, this is not a political show, hawks, are clamoring for a confrontation with Tehran, that would be Iran. Also, at a moment that Iran's most powerful proxy in the region, the Lebanese Hezbollah, is engaging in daily fire at Israel's northern border. So you got Iran basically supporting fire going into Israel from the north, and then what they're telling us is we also have Iran supporting all these attacks on ships in the Red Sea. I'm just reporting the news, okay? Senator Lindsey Graham is leading the charge, urging for the Pentagon to bomb Iran directly in response to the Houthi Red Sea attacks. In an appearance on Fox and Friends days ago, he went so far as to say Iranian bases and oil fields should be blown, quote unquote, off the map. All right. So what do we make of all this? Russia and Ukraine are bombing each other's civilians, which is a tragedy. We've got the situation in Israel, Palestine, Red Sea, where we have Iranian-backed militants attacking ships in the Red Sea, which makes up 15% of the world's economy goes through there. That's what I read. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. And we have Iranian-backed militants shooting rockets into Israel from the north. Yeah, it seems like to me things aren't too good. But let's review. Well, and silver and gold. We aren't rooting for this to happen so that silver and gold go up, okay? And it's a tragedy that civilians, including children, are getting caught up in this horrific mess. But it is what it is. Let's move on because we got more. We got a lot more. I was hearing this morning. Did you hear this? I'm going to talk about it every day because it's crazy. We're going to zoom back in on the silver price. That the silver to gold ratio is now 85. I didn't pull my calculator out and do the math, but nonetheless, it still blows me away that if I got to get back to the super chats and say thank you. That if you want to get if you have silver and you want to get 1 ounce of gold, all right, that you got to take 85 ounces of silver, 4 tubes of American Silver Eagles, and put 5 more coins on top, and you can trade that for 1 ounce of gold. I don't know. I think it just absolutely shows how undervalued silver is as an asset. Hey, guys, this is not possible without our great moderators. It's a participatory show. Type 8 if you think the moderators are great, great, great. Okay? Please. Okay. And I got a super chat there from our friend Ron. Oh, did I miss another one? Leanne. Ron, you didn't give me another one, did you? You did. Thank you, Ron. Double. I wish you double good year. Thank you. Wow. You guys are blowing me away. Ron, thank you. Happy Sunday morning to everybody, including Ron. In Ron's basement. Oh, man, it is crazy. All right, where did I go? Here we go. All right, you ready for craziness? Let's have a drink of coffee, and then let's just talk about the reality of what we're heading into in 2024, but the reality of what's going on right now and what it means for the silver and the gold price. Are you doing anything tonight for New Year's Eve? We're having some neighbors over. I can't wait. I love having parties at my house. We just had Thanksgiving. Hey, we had a sleepover last night. I got 3 11-year-old girls upstairs. Smile, Ron, smile. Okay, yep. Anyway, Happy New Year's. What are we talking about? Is the Fed? Let me ask you a question. I thought the Federal Reserve, their whole purpose, right, recently was to fight inflation. Has the Fed given up on the fight on inflation? What can we look at and analyze to make it pretty crystal clear that they have given up on their fight on inflation? And I hate to tell you this, guys, but we got to talk about the S word again, and it's not just me talking about it. But that is so critical, okay? Let's read. This comes from Dave Erfley from the Junior Miner Junkie. Super smart guy. He writes for Kitco. And I went through, he's got a very long article, and I pulled out what I thought were the nuggets of information that Ron's basement, like you, would be interested in hearing. Okay? Stagflation. Is the Fed losing control? That's my question. It says, with the stock market pricing in a soft landing, while inflation remains well above the 2% target, right? And we know the official numbers, but the real numbers are probably even higher. What caused the Fed to surprise the marketplace by signaling an end to rate hikes sooner than expected? What do you think, my fellow basement dweller? A likely answer is the world's most powerful central bank is preparing the economy for an inevitable stagflationary recession that inverted bond yields have been predicting over the past several months. Judging by the Fed's recent actions, along with recent cooling in U.S. jobs data and rising consumer debt levels, the risk of a double top being formed in the S&P 500 will be in focus next week as the soft landing narrative may dissipate over the next few months. Okay, so everybody says we're going to have a soft landing. Everybody says the market is great, but why? Why then, if everything's so great and the official inflation numbers, now we think we might be in a little, well, let me talk. Okay, the official inflation numbers still show that we're above the 2% target. Why would Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve suddenly say, we're going to cut rates next year, guys. Don't worry, don't worry. We got the bazooka loaded. We just got the printing press back from the shop. It's been all tuned up. It's ready to go. The oil's changed. Don't worry, don't worry. Why? Ask yourself that question. If inflation is officially still above the 2% target, why is the Fed pivoting? Right? I don't usually like that word, but we're going to use it this morning. Pivoting. Because they know we're in big trouble. They're not going to look. Here's the reality. Okay, they're not going to tell you that the economy is crashing. If your bank is having trouble, right? I've used this example with you guys many times. When you walk into your bank lobby, you're going to see those big placard poster, whatever they call them, things that say you can sign up for the platinum money market account that pays. Thank you, Metal Seer. I am going to a stagflation party tonight. That's funny. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. You're not going to see a sign that says, you're going to see a sign for the platinum money market account that pays you 1% interest. They're not going to put a sign up that says, the money you put in our bank, we invested in commercial real estate and U.S. Treasury bonds, both of which are now worth only 63 cents on the dollar. So please don't ask for your money back. I will ring the cowbell in just 1 second. If I get to 225 and forget, you can throw a ding-dong at me, Chris. Okay? The Fed is not going to come out and say what we know Jerome Powell said. It's the only reason he would be saying that is if we're having big, big, big trouble. And put your thinking cap on, basement dwellers. The only way they can get out of the current hole that we've dug ourselves into in the United States, 34 trillion in debt, massive deficits, everything going, all of that going up, out of control, is by devaluing the currency, making that debt easier to pay off by devaluing the U.S. dollar. When they devalue the U.S. dollar in real terms, that is good for the price of silver and gold. There's no other way around. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Don't worry, I won't go into the full funhouse thing this morning, fellow basement dwellers. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of new acronyms they're going to come up with. There's all kinds of BS and unicorn fart dust and rainbows and unicorns and whatever. They're lollipops they're going to throw out there, and Joe Biden's going to say, it's working, right? But the reality is, the only way out is by devaluing the U.S. dollar. That makes the debt, right, more manageable, quote unquote, more tenable. Either that or a complete crash and default. That's what's going to happen. And I got good news for you, basement dwellers. Either of those scenarios, okay? Scenario number one, take your choice. Pick your scenario number one. They devalue the U.S. dollar. Scenario number two, they let the system crash. Silver and gold are going to do great. But don't tell too many people, right? Because you might still want to get yourself some silver gold. And if you want to do that, why don't you check out channel sponsor Pimbex, P-I-M-B-E-X, Pimbex.com, online bullion dealer. Right? If you think we could see higher value, real value in the silver and gold market, go check out Pimbex. Silver, gold, platinum. You can trust them, but you need to find that out for yourself, okay? Like I did before I agreed to have them as a channel sponsor. They got great selection, and their prices are always best, okay? And on top of that, if you ever want to convert or are thinking about converting an IRA, they can help you out with that as well, because at Pimbex, right, whether you're buying bullion online or you're doing an IRA conversion, you always get more metal for your money. Go watch some old Coin Shop Chris and I videos, okay? Every week he analyzes like certain products, and it's like on a 100-ounce silver bar, buying it from Pimbex, a lot of times, a 100 ounce, they're a couple $1,000. It's a 100-ounce silver bar, right? A lot of times you can save $200 or $300 buying the exact same 100-ounce silver bar from the Royal Canadian Mint or the UK Mint, whatever floats your boat. You can save yourself a couple $100, and you can buy 6, 7, 8 additional ounces of silver. Not just get that 100-ounce bar. but get like 6 more ounces or 7 more ounces of silver compared to if you'd bought it from one of the other big name brand, and I'm not going to name names or point fingers, online bullion dealers. Okay, thank you, Pembex, for sponsoring the channel. Guys, they do make these videos, these live streams possible. I got to ring the bell, and we got more to talk about. Did I just freeze on you? Was that a bad internet connection? See if I can freeze the bell. I'm going to ring the bell. Bell warning. Just so you know what I'm doing with the bell, I'm ringing it at the bears because we got the gold bear, whose blindfold comes off at $2,500. We got Smitty, the silver bear, whose blindfold comes off at $85 silver. And we have, I forget his name, Plutus, the platinum bear. His blindfold comes off at $2,500 as well. But I ring the bells. I feel like I'm kind of like the Pope or something. What I'm trying to do is remind them that hey, they can get their blindfolds off as soon as they get those metals prices up. Let's move on. Did I forget another super chat? If I did, guys, the super chats, super appreciated. Hey, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the bell. That way you get notified every time we put out new videos. We put out a new video or live stream every day for the rest of your life or my life, whoever lasts longer. You get to watch me degrade over time, but we've already established that basement dwellers have one other unique characteristic, and that is we get better looking as we grow older. So if you want to get better looking, keep coming back to the basement. It really works. But subscribing is free, and we're trying to get to 34,000 subscribers by Valentine's Day. Don't break my little heart by not subscribing. Okay. Let's read something else Earthly had to say. And I do like him. He's actually been on In the Basement before. Only way out. The main message the Fed signaled to the market with its recent surprise announcement of imminent rate cuts is the only choice governments have to reduce their debt to GDP levels by boosting nominal. Remember, there's a big difference between nominal and real. Nominal growth through inflation and expansive monetary policy, fiscal policies. What he's saying there is the only way that the Fed can manage the debt is by printing money, is by making the dollar less valuable. By making the dollar less valuable, right, that means there's just more dollars. Everything costs more, more money comes in. It's kind of like my mom and dad. They bought a house in like 1968 or something before I was born in Florissant, Missouri. I think they paid like $4,000 for it, right? And they had or 510, I don't know, whatever it was. Nothing, next to nothing. And they had a 30-year mortgage on it. And I remember, like in the mid 90s when they were getting ready to be done paying it off, they're like, our house payment's only $85 a month, because the value, because they bought that. Think about this. This is a great example. They bought that house before the massive inflation, the similar type situation that we're in right now in this country, that massive inflation that happened in the 70s. That's exactly what the government's trying to do. We'll just devalue the currency. And that way, all this debt, right? It's like, poof, we'll create more money and make everything less valuable. That's exactly what's going on. Current. All right. Since this method to reduce debt to GDP is much more popular with voters, this is going to explain to you why they're doing this. Okay. Then alternatives such as higher taxes, because they could, if we wanted to maintain the value of the dollar, they could just jack up. Maybe they could take some of that money from the top 1% of the top 1% that owns like 68% of the wealth in the country. But that's not going to happen because that top 1% of the top 1% controls all the politicians. They'd rather stick it to you and me. Inflation is a hidden tax. Okay, you heard that? I hope this is all starting to make sense. Okay, I'm going to read this and shut up. Since this method to reduce debt to GDP is much more popular with voters than alternatives such as higher taxes, cuts to entitlements, depression, right? That's like we said, option one, option two, depression. I lied. I didn't put a comment then. Default, etc. Gold and silver prices will likely continue to move even higher as two key factors become prominent: the decline in the U.S. dollar and the government's attempts to address massive global debt limits. Currently, this is scary, U.S. debt to GDP at 133%, along with global trade imbalances, is signaling the U.S. dollar being chronically overvalued if when the U.S. economy does fall into a recession next year. The high value of the world's reserve currency is sure to become a prime topic of debate during the 2024 presidential election. Historically, listen up. This is the bomb. Okay. Currently, the U.S. debt to GDP is at 133%. That means our debt is 133% of our GDP. Okay. Historically, in the last 120 years, pretty good sample size, 98% of countries where the debt to GDP ratio exceeded 130%, check, we do that, we're at 133, have gone bankrupt. We're not heading into very nice, favorable times, guys, in this country. Okay, the math behind all this is not looking good. Be prepared. Remember, take a deep breath. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Take a deep breath, Ron. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. Basement dwellers, it's New Year's Eve party time. But party up tonight, but be prepared mentally and monetarily for what's coming. The math doesn't lie, okay? Whether you're talking about an individual, are we back? Hold on, can you guys see me? I seriously had a twitch there. I got disconnected and reconnected. Hold on a minute. I want to make sure you guys... Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you, Sassy Silver. Yep. Okay. All of a sudden, my camera said you're not connected. Then it said you're reconnected. Must be Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve turning off my internet. Huh? What the heck? Be prepared during the next year. The math does not lie. I have a degree in accounting from a fancy university. I worked for a Big Four accounting firm. That does not make me able to predict the future. That does give me a strong ability to be able to work a calculator and understand how interest works and real versus nominal. And guys, I'm telling you, it's looking scary as we head into the coming year, quarter, several years, decade. Are you scared? Let me ask you a question. Are you scared for your children and grandchildren? If you are, this is a participatory show. Type scared. I'm going to do it all caps. Did I say scarred or scared? I might have said scarred. I can't type. Scared. No, I did that right. Yes. Okay. Right. It is not looking good as we move into this. Next year. And think about this. Think about all that we talked about and what's going to happen to the silver. I'm telling you, I'm a firm believer. $2,600 gold. That's my prediction. I definitely could be wrong. $2,600 gold next year. And I'm going out on a big limb and saying that I think we could have it by May. Probably will be wrong. But I believe there's something in me that knows once we get above this $2,100 range with gold, and we're going to talk about silver, there's nothing above us. It's free. It's a free ride to 2,600. Now, what are the big factors as we head into next year? What do you want to be watching? The Fed. They've got a meeting in January and a meeting in March. Okay. Most people don't think they're going to cut rates in January. Most people do think they're going to cut rates in March. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on the Fed. Be prepared for all types of, like I said, smoke, mirrors, right? Unicorn magic going on, right? New acronyms. Okay. Don't forget, Okay, we got two other big things that most people aren't talking about. Now, we're going to go into a little tiny bit more complicated, but you can understand this, okay? Because there's two other big things going on that are going to impact that silver price and gold price as we go into next year. The first one is the BTFD, the Bank Term Funding Program. You probably haven't heard of it. Right? You know why you probably haven't heard of it? Because that's by demand. That was money printing that the Fed did during the little banking crisis that we had with Silicon Valley Bank. And they were like three of the biggest. Think about this. Wait a minute. Wait. We had like three of the four biggest bank failures in the history of the country occur just back in March, April, May of this year. Okay? I think in total, they were almost as big as all the banks that failed during the GFC. The Fed and the Treasury had to have emergency meetings, come up with this BTFD that nobody's heard about, which is this little thing that the Fed has where if you're a bank and you made a bad investment, right? Remember, you, this is your money. You put $100,000 at your local bank. That bank took that money and bought a bunch of treasuries, and they lost a bunch of money. And now the Fed says, well, Mr. Bank, I'm sorry you made a mistake. I'll buy those from you, and I'll give you the full value of those. Okay? It's crazy. But here's the big key. The usage of that facility is going up and up and up and up. Continues to go up, and it's supposed to expire, from what I hear, like in March, April of this year. So keep an eye on that. The other big thing, and this is where it gets a little confusing, so we won't go too deep into this, is the Fed's reverse repo program. Because remember, during the C-19 crisis, the Fed printed like 40% of all the U.S. dollars that are in existence. And the banks needed somewhere to put them. They put them with the Fed. That was called the reverse repo program. That money's been being sucked back out of the Fed and has been being used to buy, you guessed it, U.S. Treasuries. When that money runs out, people are like, the Chinese aren't buying U.S. Treasuries. The Saudi Arabians aren't buying U.S. Treasuries, right? And the reverse repo is going to run out. We could be heading into some major storm territory again this year in March and April. And, we saw big spikes in the silver price and gold price over the last few years in March and April. It's going to be super, super interesting. On top of it all, we got one more cherry on top that we're going to talk about that's going to be a big driver next year. Hey, we got 400 people here. Can we get the 300 thumbs up? I tell you what I'll do for you. Special treat this morning. You see that right there? Can you see that thing? That, or my, oh, wait a minute. That's the golden gong. Out of appreciation for you. It's our little ritual. That sounds weird saying that, doesn't it? It's our little tradition here in the basement. We'll use that word. Where we ring the gong when we get to 300 thumbs up, but we got to get to 300 thumbs up first. Don't forget, that's down below. Don't forget to please subscribe. It's always free here in the basement. You are the most important part. And we got one more big bahuma coming through. At the end, we're going to talk about that it's going to be the cherry on top. It's going to make 2024 even more extra special for silver and gold investors. Look, it's time for that speech. You're smart. Listen to me, okay? Listen to me. I take all this information, spend hours and hours, right? How do you think I found the world's 4 biggest silver mining companies we talked about earlier? I synthesize it. I present it to you. Listen to me, okay? But don't believe me. Believe yourself. Listen to other people as well. There's a lot of other smart people out there doing what I do, okay? Form your own opinions. Come back here to the basement. We always want you to come back here and share what you've learned with us. Because you know what? I don't know. Have you experienced this? When I was younger, age-wise, not beauty, age. When I was younger, I always thought I kind of knew a lot, knew everything. The older I get, the more I realize there's a lot I don't know, and how my best way to learn is from you. And thank you for 300 thumbs up. Let's ring that bell. Bell? Gong. This is the gong warning. How can you not like a gong? Do you like gongs? If you do what I'm doing. Huh? And when we get 5 people that type gong, I'm going to ring the gong 3 times, but since it's New Year's Eve, if we get 5 people that type gong, I will ring the gong 5 times. Special treat. Special New Year's Eve treat. Oh my gosh. We got a hong, we got a gong. Here we go, baby. It's hurting my fingers. Let me start over. It was hitting my fingers. It like keeps ringing for a long time after I hit it. Listen, I'll do that again. I don't know what that's made out of. It looks like gold to me. What do you think the gong's made out of? I'll have to ask our friend Stu, who sent this all the way from the East Coast of the United States. Yes, you guys send me some awesome, unbelievable presents and gifts, you know. I got a train whistle back here. That's what we blow when we get the 400 thumbs up. That came from Don the Brain. Hey, I got big news for you. I got a couple big news items. RonsBasement.com is still there. We're incubating it. It will be the 24-hour place where you can go to engage in conversation with other basement dwellers. But Don the Brain, who was the brains behind that, is this guy's smart, and he's putting together different charts and flow sheets about what could be the major drivers for the silver and gold price next year. And I think he's going to share it with me when it's all completed. So we have that to look forward to. Also, let's talk about the cherry on top next year. What could be yet another factor that's going to drive these precious metals prices higher, and we're going to start hearing more and more and more about it. Be prepared, okay? We always talk about being prepared mentally and monetarily. Be prepared, because this election cycle in the United States that we are heading into, and Dave Erfley talks about this in his article as well. Hold on a second. Somebody's trying to call me. Sorry about that. This election cycle will be likely, maybe, possibly, people are saying the most contentious in the history of the United States. Okay. And on top of that, so we've got kind of internal, I guess that's not geopolitical, but domestic turmoil issues here in the United States, right? The Republicans and the Democrats, let's just say they don't get along. Now, look, this is not a political show. Okay, what I always encourage people is think for yourself. And we're not going to go down there, but I like to be like a person who I'm, I guess, I don't know, independent or libertarian or whatever. I like to think for myself. But on both sides, a lot of people feel very strongly. That's just the reality of what's going on. This could be the most contentious presidential election in the history of the United States. That could lead to some serious potential uncertainty, turmoil, okay? We don't want it to happen, but we're just talking about being mentally prepared for what could happen next year. And what do you think about this, okay? This isn't just me saying this. A lot of these, fancy analysts are now saying it too. It's just a fact, okay, that when it's an election year, the people that are in power will do whatever they need to do to get elected. From what I understand, that's why one of the reasons why Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. Couldn't pay for the Vietnam War and needed money to stimulate the economy and everything else to help himself get reelected, but then he got impeached. Well, same thing is going to go on next year. The people that are in power, okay, are going to do whatever they need to do. They will stop at nothing to juice the economy, to make things look good, to keep oil prices down, to keep money flowing, right? They'll start talking. You watch, right? Because before the midterm elections, they drained the strategic petroleum reserve. After Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia, we aren't going to go down that whole BRICS bifurcation thing, but he went to Saudi Arabia to beg them to pump more oil so that gas prices would come down before the midterm elections. And they said, take a hike, Joe. So he came home and he drained the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's just a fact, okay? That will be nothing. We're going to hear next year about all kinds of new free stuff. It's going to sound great, right? Average Americans, oh, we want to do this new program. We want to forgive student loans. That was the other thing that came out during that period. That's when they decided to forgive student loan debt. I don't really understand how that all played out. Anyway, they forgave some of it, none of it. I don't get it. I didn't agree with it, but that's just my opinion. But that came out right before the midterm elections. Okay? So be prepared for all kinds of BS, real and fanciful, stimulative actions by the people that are sitting in power during 2024. Man, it's hard to say that. 2024, okay? I want you to know one thing. It's been a great year with you here in the basement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the moderation team. We've grown a lot here in the basement. We got more and more basement dwellers. Thousands of people watch these videos. Thousands of people are joining us. We've grown to over 31,000 people, but there's one person who's most important, okay? And that's not me. That's you. This is not possible without each and every individual who's out there, and that includes you right now. Okay, it's a big honor for me that you join me here in the basement. I hope that you feel welcome. I hope you feel like you found a community of people that have common interest, and I can tell you one thing for sure. You've met a community of people that are very nice, have awesome qualities about them. So we're going to look forward to an awesome 2024. Thank you for being here, okay? And I guess I'll plan on seeing you in the new year. Take it easy. Thank you. Bye-bye.